When the KTM Duke siblings first launched in India, these were no ordinary motorcycles. They were razor-sharp handlers, punched way harder than the competition, and were priced really competitively. Of course, in terms of refinement, it did leave a little to be desired. But now for 2017, KTM has introduced an all-new Duke sibling, the 250 Duke. Although KTM did not initially plan to bring in the 250 for Indian markets, the new 2017 390 Duke has created a bit of a vacuum in the pricing with the 200 and the 390, and that's where the 250 comes in. While the sharp styling of the 250 Duke has been inspired by the 1290 Super Duke R, it shares most of its bodywork and its frame with the new 2017 390 Duke. Both get the new two-part trellis frame with the exposed bolt-on subframe and 13.5-litre tank. This new look for the bike appears a fair bit more aggressive than the older Duke design. From a distance, the 390 and 250 Dukes do look quite similar to each other. What sets them apart, aside from the obvious numeric decals, is the headlight. The 250 Duke misses out on the split LED headlight setup the 390 version gets. The 250's headlight still retains that angular forward-jutting contour, but is a single unit instead. It also gives the all-new TFT instrument console seen on the 2017 390 Duke a miss. Instead, it makes do with the same digital unit as the 200 Duke. Another point of differentiation is the blacked-out wheels on the 250 Duke. The all-new metal tank on the 250 Duke is well chiseled and really accentuates the aggressive styling of the rest of the motorcycle with those angular tank cowls. The key switch is positioned at the forepart of the tank and is no longer at the base of the speedometer console. The seat design has also changed, and the new, longer seat has a decent amount of padding for the rider. The 250 Duke also shares its two-stage side-slung exhaust with the 390 Duke. Although it retains the typically tinny KTM soundtrack, it has a decent amount of bass in the exhaust note once the revs start to climb. The exposed tubes of the bolt-on trellis subframe flow neatly into the rear side panel and really add a kind of raw appeal to the bike. There's another decal on the underside of this panel that denotes the 250cc of displacement. All of this culminates in a well-shaped, sharp-looking rear end that now houses a twin LED tail light. The new 250 Duke shares the exact same seating position as the new 2017 390 Duke. It retains the neutral seating posture from the older Dukes, but the new foot pegs are a little rear-set, which makes this new bike feel a little less cramped than the older model. The 30 mm increase in seat height also aids in this, and although it isn't much, it may be a bit cumbersome for shorter riders. The new quarter-liter Duke uses a 249cc single-cylinder, liquid-cooled and fuel-injected engine, which produces 30 horsepower and 24 Nm of torque. Crank that engine up, and there are a few vibrations that filter through the handlebar at idle. But once you get to the higher revs, this tends to smooth out. When initially pulling off the line in first gear, the bottom end does feel a bit sluggish, but in typically Duke fashion, the punch kicks in with the mid-range and the top end feels strong. The engine is mated to a slipper clutch equipped 6-speed gearbox. Shifts through the gears feel smooth and precise, with the slipper clutch kicking in rather smoothly to even out hard downshifting. The ratios for the higher gears, however, did feel a bit confusing out on the racetrack. Fifth gear would pull all the way to a speedo indicated 136 km per hour on the track straight, and sixth gear would see an increase of just 1 km per hour. Maybe in the real world, KTM intended for the sixth gear to be more of a cruising gear. The 250 Duke also misses out on the ride-by-wire technology and stickier met sellers from the 390. Instead, it's shod with MRF Reps C1 rubber, which provided decent levels of grip around the Bajaj test track. Stopping power comes from a 300 mm disc at the front and a 230 mm disc at the rear, which is the same setup as the Duke 200. The front brake feels strong and has a decent amount of feedback as well. However, there's no ABS offered on the 250 Duke, even as an option. But while clocking a few laps around the curvy Bajaj test track, the 250 Duke really felt in its element. The chassis provides an immense amount of confidence in the corners. Changes in direction are handled with a reasonable amount of briskness, and cornering stability is commendable. The bike feels planted and really encourages you to push deep into the corners.
So the new 250 Duke not only bridges the gap between the 200 and the 390 in terms of pricing, but also in terms of power and features. It doesn't have the kind of manic power that the 390 does, but it still has enough punch to keep things interesting. Although we still wish KTM would offer ABS as an option on this model.